You've probably heard of Orlando by way of the Magic Kingdom. But only a small fraction of visitors make it past Mickey and Minnie to Orlando itself. The region, already home to 2 million people, is growing fast. But growth is putting pressure on schools, highways, the environment, and workers. Identified as one of the most vulnerable in the United States to technology and automation, Orlando's businesses, policymakers, and educators are planning for the future of work.
Orlando is a really exciting and vibrant place. 1,000 people move into the state of Florida every day. Well, 1,000 people move into Central Florida every week. When I started here, the school district, Orange County School District, 10th largest in the country, had about 190,000 students. In just 5 years, that's now almost 215,000 students in one county.
This community is made up of people from all over. We didn't grow because we birthed people here. We grew because people moved here.
But when new arrivals reach Orlando, what types of jobs can they get?
It's possible for someone to relocate to Orlando and find a job. It may not be full-time, and it may not pay above minimum wage, but the job is likely there.
One perspective is that when you are a low-cost and low-tax position, then that puts you as an attractor to a certain demographic, certain types of families and certain types of folks will come to that area. And we're trying to continue the work of dispelling that Orlando is the low-cost, the cheap place to come live. That's old Florida, but that's decades of perception.
So, what should the new Florida look like?
Our tagline is Orlando, you don't know the half of it. And that's because less than half of our economy is actually made up of the tourism industry.
Forbes just put out several months back that we were like number 1 or number 2 in manufacturing growth in the United States, Central Florida. It really surprised me. How do we keep up with that growth?
Economic growth comes at what cost? And there is growing consensus and agreement that it is quality of life, it is well-being. We've got enormous pressures on the way we're trying to live. And the human brain can only take so much, and there's only so much pressure before we start to try to escape it. Drug abuse, opioid deaths, alcohol abuse, diabetes, not eating right. This productivity, if that is a mindset that a community might want to have and only champion productivity, then by definition you are cascading or the rest of the quality life conversation because you are contributing to nothing more than pressure on your workforce.
Does that make sense?
The need for balance, and more than a cliche that I have balance in my life, is really to understand that if you don't, the system goes out of whack. Caring about each other, figuring out that we are linked, we are in a system, and it has to be based on trust, and it has to be based on mutual reciprocity. In economic terms, we call that social capital. And without social capital, there is no economic development.
We take people to the next level.
Very good. So then it's going to extend that cylinder?
I've had students that come in that are working 2 jobs, minimum wage maybe, $10 an hour maybe, spending 16, 17 hours away from the home. They come in here for 22 weeks, they leave with a certificate of completion in one hand and a job offer or 2 in the other. So what that does for these students is that allows them to have more time at home with their family, a much better income and stability.
But workers who want to take advantage of these opportunities have to overcome several hurdles.
And that includes understanding that, well, I'm not going to be able to pursue that certificate if I don't have someone to look after my 2 children. If I don't have transportation to get to where I'm going, I can't necessarily even get to school. I can't get to where the jobs are for where I happen to be living.
There are many individuals in our community who are working part-time jobs, oftentimes multiple part-time jobs, and oftentimes those part-time jobs pay minimum wage. So adults in our community often struggle to make ends meet, and so the idea of going back to college to earn a degree is simply outside of the realm of possibility.
So how do we move the population that's begun, say, getting a great customer service job in tourism into our high growth industries through a combination of education, credentialing, experience, internship, work and learning opportunities?
Maybe even with a touch of Hollywood.
As technology comes in, there's got to be people who take care of the technology. Today's household appliances are computers, and so the people that are working on them are no longer going in and changing belts, they're going in and changing microprocessors, and they're going in and figuring those kinds of things out. We do everything. We've got the largest motion capture studio on the East Coast of the United States right here in Orange County Public Schools because, creating virtual worlds, virtual environments are the next step for a lot of people. Skills are becoming the marketable tool of the future, not knowledge. Knowledge is in your phone. I can look up anything I want to know on my phone, but if I've got skills, then I'm marketable.
So it's not only about the skills you achieve, but how you learn and keep learning.
Continuous growth. That ability to learn and forget and relearn and just retrain your brain to something that's new and different is just a hugely valuable skill that people are going to have to get used to. I think the idea of this is my job and this is what I do, and this is only what I do is a mindset that's definitely going to go away. It has to go away in the future.
It's no longer either or. You're no longer going vocational or academic. You're doing both, and they should be intertwined, and it's a seamless movement from one to the other. And I think that's part of the transition that's occurring across the nation, but especially here in Central Florida.
It's the culture that exists in Orlando that makes us also optimistic that we can wrestle with very difficult and complex issues because we understand that it's not a zero-sum game, that it is through regionalism we can all win, and that the old phrase, a rising tide floats all boats. The corollary though is we've got to make sure that everybody has a boat. I think that the answers will be local. We don't look to the federal government. We're a community here that's very strong. We know what we can do. If we can not come at it from a pitchforks and knives and hey, this is a revolution in the making, the system will vibrate and shake so much that everybody within that system starts to feel it. That's when politicians will get a quick eye turned to them to say, so what are the solutions? If the folks at federal levels want to catch up and learn from us, we're happy to teach them, but we're not waiting.